All right, it's a couple minutes after 12 till it's time to get started. So let's go ahead and get going. I'm Ted Brown, Director of Product Management, and today's Ntiva Lunch and Learn for May of 2023, we're going to be talking about a product called SaaS Alerts. And I'm really excited about this product to bring it up to you all. And typically for, I guess, almost the last year and a half, almost all of the webinars, lunch and learns we have done has been exclusively Microsoft related, and SaaS Alerts is not a Microsoft related product. But I thought it'd be very beneficial to talk about how you can use this type of solution to enhance the security within the Microsoft ecosystem, especially into Microsoft 365. So we're going to be talking about what is SaaS Alerts, why do I need SaaS Alerts, and then get into what I consider the 4 pillars of this type of solution: the logging, the alerting, the respond, and reporting. Just like other webinars and lunch and learns we have done, please use the Q&A section for any and all questions, and I'll go ahead and answer any of the questions at the end of this presentation. Also, if you have any ideas for future lunch and learn topics that you'd be interested in learn more about, please pop it into the chat. Always open to suggestions, and I go ahead and coordinate that into maybe the Q3 or Q4 lunch and learn sections we're kind of coming up. All right, what is SaaS Alerts? So SaaS Alerts is an automated SaaS security threat detection response tool, which can expose advanced threats and immediately takes actions to keep our clients safe within their SaaS environment. This solution allows Ntiva to react promptly to any potential SaaS security incidents that may disrupt clients' business operations. And Ntiva SaaS Alerts monitoring and automatic remediation capabilities will enhance our clients and your security posture within their SaaS applications. And it does this by what I said, 4 different pillars within the solution itself. You have the logging, which is has the capability of being able to log over 200 different types of events into the system. It has the alerting, which is 24/7 real-time monitoring of the SaaS solution product to protect against potential data theft, data at risk, and bad actors. And this is all powered by Ntiva's knock when an alert is triggered. Ntiva's respond model within the SaaS application it gives you the ability to respond to components that are potentially responding to takes a look at detected threats that are coming through and takes coordinated actions that can be triggered by if a bad actor does one action, then another actions. Both those actions together might not mean anything, but together it potentially could be a compromise. It can take actually steps to mitigate that risk right then and there, and actually block an account and log out any actions that are occurring there. So it's very, very nice the fact that you have the alerting and then the respond piece of this. And lastly, it comes down to the reporting. You have a nice reporting that gives you a user behavior and SaaS application events, and you can get a nice little comprehensive report of what is actually occurring within your 365 environment, which I find very handy to have. Now, why do you need SaaS Alerts? So I'm not a huge kind of doing a fear, uncertainty, doubt type of thing, but I think it's really good to understand some of the numbers are out there when it talks about compromised events out there. So some studies out there, they say 61% of all the breaches are identity driven. Either by potentially your password has been leaked out there onto the dark web and somebody has obtained them through that method, or potentially somebody sent you a link and it looked valid. You clicked on a link and it asks you for your 365 information. It looks like a typical login. You just type right in there and instantly those credentials are sent off to a bad actor. There is about 20,000 cases reported of BEC cases, which is business email compromises. And it basically made up for about 2.4 billion in losses in 2021. 84% of businesses have experienced BEC, business email compromise. And I can feel like that is true going towards that number. So I've been in the IT space for over 20 years. And ever since the emergence of 365, I feel like this has taken off because it allows people to try to log into your system from wherever they are in the world, unless you lock it down with MFA or conditional access. So it kind of gives a wide range where people can access the system. And we do get calls all the time where someone says, hey, a whole bunch of emails are being sent out to all my contact lists. And that's because potentially they clicked on a link, put in their email address and their password to 365, bad actor gets it, and next thing you know, a compromise event has occurred. So it goes into that 84%. And really the BEC is 64% more profitable than ransomware. So you always hear the big ransomware attacks out there because it blocks everything, stops everything from happening on the solution. But here, this is occurring behind the scenes without stopping production of the company, but it is causing It could cause a financial burden, as well as it does not look good for the company when you have this blast of a email going out to all your clients saying, hey, click on this button. And it's very clearly that is a bad actor got a hold of your email address. And Microsoft's stance on this is on the bottom right side of it is you are responsible for the security of your 365 instance. Pretty much Microsoft kind of wipes their hand cleans of saying, hey, if a compromise does occur, no losses can be passed over to Microsoft. So if for some reason you have money go out your hands because of a compromised event occurred, Microsoft says you're responsible for securing your facilities and securing your tenancy to make sure no one can get in. So it really leaves up the securing and responding to issues up to the client itself, or as well as the MSP that's taking care of the solution. So with that put into place, we are utilizing SaaS alerts on potentially other solutions that we're doing on a personal basis. So this is actually my bank account information. So why do you need SaaS alerts? So I use this for my banking solution. I get a bank account. I get my bank statement. I don't read it on a monthly basis. I don't go through it line by line, but I do set up alerts to me saying, hey, anything over $50, please send a text message to my phone so I can make sure it's valid. So this is a text message I got saying, hey, a $60 spent was done to Amazon. Well, hey, I knew that was valid. I did do it. And another one coming down here is a $100 charge as well. But it kind of makes me think about what is occurring within my bank statement and take action if something does seem wrong. I don't necessarily go through line by line and kind of say, is this $7, is $4 correct? Now, every once in a while, I'll go through there. But for the most part, I rely on the alerts to actually see what's going on. And SaaS alerts is the same way. We want to make sure that, hey, let's take a look at what is indicative of potential compromised event that might occur, and then take potential actions to see, hey, is this accurate? Is this correct? An example might be a person being elevated to administrator. Well, that in itself might not mean indicative of somebody coming through and saying a compromised event occurred, but we should check on that. Let's go ahead and make sure that John Smith was supposed to be about updated to an administrator on the account and find out if that should have occurred. And if not, okay, let's take corrective measures to say, hey, something has occurred and find out why. So that's why it's really beneficial to have all the alerts coming through so you can then take appropriate actions when necessary. You can take that a step further. And I thought this one was kind of funny right here. So here was a fridge made by Samsung, I think it was in 2019, where they said, hey, this Samsung's so smart, it will send a SMS message to your phone if the door is left open. And then someone respond back, hey, that's great. Well, why can't the fridge just close the door itself if it's so smart? And that kind of gets into the idea of hey, if you have alert coming through and you know what the response should be, you have a refrigerator door open for a while, the response should be close the door. Same thing, we should be actually taking a look on the SaaS alerts. So if you have something come through and multiple things occur that really is indicative of a breach, we should take action immediately and investigate on the back end to make sure everything is correctly. So a instance we see about this, and I kind of have a little demo of it as well within this presentation, is let's say somebody has a email rule created, followed by email forward created, and it was all done from a place overseas. Well, not very often are people kind of traveling overseas, setting up rules and set up forwarders. When we see that, that is, again, a classic action of a business email compromise that has occurred where a bad actor got a hold of somebody's password and is about to send out a huge email blast to the entire company as well as their clients. If we can say, hey, if these occur and we have a high likelihood that this is a compromised event, let's go ahead and stop that bad actor from taking that next action so we can kind of mitigate the embarrassment that might occur for the client going forward, similar to this example of making sure that the fridge door is closed. Now, let's go ahead and get into the different pillars of the SaaS alerts program. So the first part comes down to the logging. So SaaS alerts will collect over 200 different types of events that occur within the SaaS solution applications. And this information is retained for 365 days from the event. And this is important because most people aren't aware that Microsoft does not retain your logs for a long period of time. The typical duration they retain your logs is for a 30-day period. So if you want to take a heuristical look about what's occurring with your environment or with a user, a 30-day period segment to look back on logs is really not enough to understand what is going on with your tenancy. So it's very important to have that vast many-month actually look back that you can kind of take an analysis of what's going on with each user or within the company itself. So you can kind of paint a picture of what is typical business use within the tenancy itself. So with all this information, with all the logs coming through collected on 365 days, we have the ability to go back and search on historical information so we can address a possible issue if someone had maybe breached the system and got in and start doing certain things, seeing what's downloaded, seeing what's being deleted. All that information is typically low informational alerts anyways, but if we have it categorized and we have it kept for 365 days, it's easy for us to go back and take action if necessary. So once all the logging comes in, next part comes to the alerting. And so we offer a unified 24/7 real-time monitoring to protect against data theft, data at risk, and bad actors. And this feature sends notification to Ntiva's knock when an alert is triggered by creating a ticket into our ticketing system. And this feature helps us prioritize alerts based on severity and impact and allows us to respond in a timely manner and make sure everything's centrally managed so we know where to go for communication and collaboration. So with this, we have the ability to actually kind of triage the alerts coming through. So we have three different classifications we have. We have low alerts, medium alerts, and critical alerts. And so the low alerts, I really say this is more informational, kind of what I'm saying of like, hey, a email has been deleted or a somebody shared a file or somebody downloaded a file. That information is more just, hey, just bring it in. We don't need to take action on, but we just want to make sure to maintain it. And you can see here on the right side, hey, a file event shared, a email rule was deleted. Again, we're not going to take action on those, but we want to make sure to maintain that information. The next subset of alerts, medium alerts and critical alerts, we actually treat all the same way. We want to actually take action and validate that these were specific things that should have occurred within your tenancy. Emails like your MFA has been disabled. If that could have been done through normal troubleshooting steps. A person maybe wasn't able to log in. We disabled MFA, that actually would trigger an alert to go us a check. And we'd be able to correlate that to other tickets as someone called in, they weren't able to access, we would turn off the MFA and that looks fine. Or maybe that was something that a compromise maybe occurred. We called the user did not turn it off. Let's go ahead and start investigating if a potential breach did occur, but we wouldn't be able to take that action unless the alert came through to our system. So it's very important to kind of go through go through those measures and to assume potential breach and call and validate that it's not. Once we have the alerting side of the house done, it gets to that part I was talking before, which I think is the best part about Ntiva SaaS alerts, and that's our respond module. And this is a component that's responsible for responding to detected threats within seconds of a breach with pre-configured steps to stop bad actors from inflicting damage. If a breach is deemed highly likely, the user account will be automatically blocked and a ticket will be created for Ntiva to act. And this is all powered by pre-configured actions that we have created, which correlates multiple events together within a predefined time period. So with this example I have here, you can see I'm going to go ahead and trigger a respond rule if a person has logged in from outside the United States or outside approved location, and they set up a new device. Very rarely are people taking vacation, traveling overseas, purchasing a new laptop and logging in from it. That's kind of indicative someone got breached the system. So let's go ahead and take some action on it. So if that occurs, let's go ahead and expire accounts and then block sign-in. It's very important to kind of do it in this order where you're expiring accounts, because what will happen if someone's in your 365 tenancy that they shouldn't be, if you expire their account, they'll be actually locked out right then and there. So they can't take any further action. And then after that, you're blocking sign-in. So even if they do have the password, they can't get back in. Meanwhile, a ticket's been sent to the knock team so we can actually take action, call the users, call whomever is necessary, follow our standard operating procedure to validate that this potentially is a breach and then take action afterwards. Or, hey, person did travel overseas, they lost their laptop, it got stolen, they purchased a new one, and then we can go ahead and unblock the sign-in and get them access. 15, 20 minutes of potential not able to access the system, but more than likely it is potentially stopping somebody from compromising the tenancy. So very important to go that direction. Another example I have here to kind of show you a different look of it, similar type of thing. So this is a respond module that is taking a forwarding rule that has been created, again, from somebody overseas. Again, not many people are traveling overseas and then creating a forward rule to send all their emails somewhere else. That typically does not happen. And you can see here on the bottom right, on the bottom side, you can see here, again, I set it up for the United States, was outside the deemed location to make it easy for a test. So I logged in from outside the United States, set up a rule, and the next thing I know, everything has been actually disabled for this demo account. I was logged in at the time. You can see here, this person was logged in my demo 3 account. It instantly got locked out. On my screen popped up. This account has been locked. Contact your support person to unlock it and try again. And then when I looked into the 365 tenancy, I can see that the demo account has been locked out from there and blocked. So if this person was supposed to be in the system, I can easily come in here and unblock it, and the person can get back in and be back to where they were. So that's really how the respond module works. It takes predefined correlating action on looking at what has occurred over a preset period of time, and then following the steps, whatever we follow next, block, sign in, expire account, and going forward. After we get done with those modules, you have the 3 different modules, we get down into the reporting. And I do love the reporting feature. And I think this is important as well, especially if you are trying to educate people in your company of why you need to enhance your IT security behavior, such as maybe adding in MFA, such as potentially going through in an Intune deployment to set up an Azure information protection for email encryption, or Azure AD to do more conditional access, of really kind of making it really hard for bad actors to access your system. 365 is wonderful. You're able to do a lot of things within there, but it does inherently open up logins to everywhere across the world unless you shrink it down. You do have the capacity, and highly recommended, to do multi-factor authentication. So you always have something you have to validate that it is you yourself. But you can also create projects out there to say, hey, I still only want people logging in from the United States, or from a device that is deemed acceptable to access the system. These can all be done through Intune policies and Azure AD to make sure that its person should be accessing the system and not just kind of open to the world. And if you want to kind of present that to a group of people that need to understand it better, I do find it better to do it with pictures. And so with the SaaS alerts, we can actually build a picture of where people are logging in from all across the world here. So this is an example of a client we kind of recently onboarded SaaS alerts. And you can see here, this company has been logging in mainly from the United States, as well as Halifax right here. So we can jump in and give a picture of what all the events are occurring for this company. Most of these are mundane. Just because it's an event that occurs does not mean it's a security breach or security issue. It's just giving you information. Again, painting that picture of how your company interacts with your information within 365 or within the SaaS solution that you're trying to protect. For this example right here, we see the main thing that's happening here is people are opening files. Well, it seems to be something most people do. They're also modifying files, sharing files back and forth, but it does create a picture of what's occurring. So after a handful of months, if you see something change here, you might say, hey, why is it occurring that direction? Should we take some more action then and take a look at it? So it really just kind of paints that overall picture. This now gets into another picture of kind of showing where people are accessing from. Where were people accessing that were deemed outside the targeted area where people should be logging in from? So in this example here, we have 2 people logging in from, looks like Canada, Anook and Halifax. Well, maybe these people should be logging in from Halifax, and this should be deemed an improved location for them to log in on. Or, hey, Susan Smith doesn't go to Halifax. Why are they logging in from there? Let's go ahead and take action, see why it's occurring, go in that direction. Maybe it's something that is malicious and we should take action on it. But without having these pictures and graphs and taking a look at it, we wouldn't know that. And Ntiva wouldn't know that that's not appropriate use, but you as an organization could see that and know that Susan doesn't work out of the Halifax office and can take action from there. This one right here, I find, is the most valuable one, though. This is an example of a company we recently logged into the SaaS alert solution. And within 5 days, we can see that they've had over 12,000 failed logon attempts. This company is under attack, and they don't know it. It's because, hey, they're just logging in as usual, logging in. But since people can log in from all over the world, they can have their passwords out there on the dark web for some reason, and now, or their user accounts out there on the dark web for some reason, but no the password. And bad actors are constantly trying to hit it with brute force. All it takes is for one of those brute forces to work correctly. They're logged in the system and potentially getting a ground hold of your tenancy, and then taking action to potentially produce a monetary event to you, or a potential embarrassing event to the company as well on emails going out. So this company just should recommend going through an MFA, a multi-factor authentication, or potentially a conditional access to shrink down where people can log in from. And you can depict a picture of what that looks like with the next one here. It shows across the world of where everyone's logging into this tenancy from. So you got the United States, but then you have the entire world, Africa, South America, Asia, Australia, Philippines. I mean, it's all over the place. So you really have a lot of places that are trying to access the system. And again, we can't block this without taking action from there. But I think having the information available to you as an organization you can present this and going, this is why we need to have this next level of security in here, because everyone across the world is trying to access our system for some reason, and we need to mitigate that and bring it down. So with SaaS alerts, it does give you the ability not only to have the alerting come through and the respond measures come through, but then painting a picture of what is actually occurring on your environment over a monthly, quarterly, yearly basis. So you can really have a good depiction of what's going out there. So I'm really excited about this product because I do think it will help secure more solutions out there, bring the light of what's actually going on within your tenancy. So then you have the education and information, take action afterwards and start putting forth those security measures that should be taking place today. So that's really all I have to go through for SaaS alerts. I hope you found it interesting and you think it might be useful within your organization. And if you have any questions at all, we have about 4 more minutes left. So please put any Q&A sections in there and I'm happy to answer your questions.